Okay, we're going to admit this new security system on Zoom. Last couple of days, few days, we now got to not only issue an invite to participants, we then got to allow them admission. So here we go. She's joining. That's how it works these days. I think there was a security issue, but here's Dawn. We can't hear her. Well, she can't hear me. Look at that. Isn't that much better, viewers?
I can hear you.
Oh, hang on. Turn the sound up. I couldn't hear it. Can I hear you now?
I don't know.
Ah, there you go. I wonder whether that silence was recorded. It was my my volume, so I've adjusted that so I can hear you now, loud and clear. Now, I should warn everybody, I gave you a little bit of warning of what we might talk about towards the end, just so not put you completely on the spot with some tough decisions, but hardly anything, 5 minutes, that's all, just to think about it. But anyway, what you've just done, you've done something very unusual, haven't you? What you've just been doing?
When?
Your parting shot to me a few moments ago. Oh, your memory is useless, honestly.
I prefer it that way, thank you. I'm refusing to talk about this, so get on with the next thing.
Oh, you sorted out something for my mum.
Oh, I ordered some chicken manure.
There you go. That's the sort of thing we're up against, isn't it? Finding chicken manure on the
that was fairly straightforward.
Where's the best place to buy chicken manure, just in case anybody wants to?
Well, there's only one place who's actually selling it that you can order online, and it's Marshall's, which does seeds and plants and everything else.
Right, and they do delivery, do they?
Yes, they do. So I ordered a few other little bits that we needed, Dominic needed.
Yeah, well, there you go. Right.
But why are you doing that?
Well, yeah, it was just the targeted task of ordering chicken manure, and probably got.
I ordered 2 tomato bags as well.
Okay, right, fine, good. Right, a bit of feedback from yesterday.
Who needs feedback? Go on.
I know it's engagement with the viewers. Engagement. And inspired by you, actually, because of your German that you demonstrated yesterday.
It was French.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh, right.
And Charles s'il vous plaît is French.
Pavel Bukowski,
yes.
Polish friend.
Lovely guy.
Good sense of humour. Worth following on Facebook occasionally. He probably can't speak French then, because he messaged in German yesterday.
Well, you were talking about doing it in different languages, so thumbs up to him because he chose German. I do understand a bit of German, but I didn't do German. I did French.
Yeah. Well, he messaged in German, showing off. But yeah. There is a very useful button that says Facebook translation. Translation. You can translate every phrase somebody throws at you on Facebook in a foreign language, and I think that's really useful. So I was able to respond straight away, although not in German, of course. But yeah, that was good. Graham Saker's given us some good feedback yesterday. He mentioned 3 famous female comedians, Sarah Millican, Dawn French, and Jo Brand. What do you think?
I couldn't think of anyone at the top of my. I do like Jo Brand, and I do like Dawn French. Sarah, I'm okay with her.
Yeah, but the trouble is, they weren't so much Marmite. We were talking about people that were Marmite. You love them or you hate them, but
yeah,
they're all people we quite like. But Hubert Bunce from Canada, he threw in Dawn French, of course, which I think most people like Dawn French. But Tracy Ullman, who he said was brilliant.
You see, I'm the opposite. This is a Marmite moment. I don't particularly like it. I mean, I probably did when she first started, because she was sort of like very on all the time. But now I'm not really. I just find her a bit old-fashioned.
Yeah, I should have done some research. I can't remember what she first appeared in over here, but I'll have to have a look.
I don't know. Wasn't it something like they were taking the mickey out of the news or something?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
don't know.
No,
Not the 9 o'clock news or something. She was on that. I don't know.
might be.
Anyway,
That's a good punt. But yeah, I agree. When she moved to the States and started to be too clever, it turned me off. So sorry about that, Hubert. Hubert, a bit of Marmite. Oh dear, Dawn's show. Oh my God, are you all right?
yes, I'm fine.
I must admit, it's always good when you're going on show to have a glass of water. I had to get one this morning. And
I didn't realise we were doing a show.
Your biggest fan, Grazia Manzotti, finally, after 19 episodes, disagreed with you on something. She loves Miranda Hart. There you go.
Well, you either love her or hate her. Hence the reason why it's a Marmite moment. I do find she is funny in some circumstances, but I do think that she groans on, and I'm not particular. I don't, I'm more slapstick. If someone falls over, I'm more likely to laugh. Unfortunately, I always apologise, but I find that funny. It's probably because I used to watch. Oh God, what's it? Charlie Chaplin when I was a little girl, so that's probably his fault.
Yeah, I mean, you're not really that era. Just explain that, but yeah.
No. I used to watch it on the telly in black and white. It was always black and white. I remember that.
It first came out in the cinemas, though. No.
Yeah, it did, but never mind.
Anyway, I was able to calm Grazia down after that. Because Andrea Bocelli is going live on YouTube from Milan on Easter Sunday, which is today. And she loves Andrea Bocelli, and she will be watching it. So anyone interested in that? And I think I might watch it because I think that might be quite inspiring. He's doing it for Italy and the rest of the world. So there you go. So now, other great feedback. We got Graham Saker suggesting that we do a Room 101 scenario on here, which we're going to do in a little minute. Little minute? What's a little minute? In a minute. And Dave Adkin suggests, he phones me up. He doesn't type on Facebook. He phones me up for a chat and talks it through. And he said, I've got some ideas, Mark, to talk about. I said, okay, Dave, as long as it's not holidays or showing around the house or anything like that, because they're a bit personal, and also it can look bad if people are stuck in a little flat somewhere or never have a holiday. And we don't have holidays anyway, do we? Really?
Well, we haven't had a holiday since 2010, so 10 years.
Yeah.
We can't bear to leave the dog, can we?
No. Well, we went to the European cross-country champs in southern France.
We go away for a long weekend or something like that, but it's 2 or 3 days. It's never like 2 or 3 weeks. So, which we could do, but we don't. Anyway, and also the fact we're very busy.
Yeah. Anyway, Dave's next one was, what is the best he said athletics venue, but I'm going to broaden it to sporting venue that you've ever been to.
What actually worked at?
No, well, been to. Oh dear, something to think about this.
Well, it's a very difficult one. I mean, because in the Olympics, when we went to the London Stadium at Stratford, that was absolutely brilliant. And I think it depends on how you go there. Some stadiums we go there and there's very few people. We went to Barcelona, for instance, which is a lovely stadium, but it wasn't the sort of big meet that it was at Stratford. So Stratford sort of like sticks in my mind because there were loads of people as well watching the events.
Well, we agree on that. Because that's the venue that I most did enjoy going to. I can remember going in the first morning of the women's heptathlon at the Olympics with Jessica Ennis competing, and being a full stadium and being in awe of the fact the British public had all turned out like that, and it was just tremendous, the whole experience. But even before that, we had trial events I went to for the British University Championships and the UK School Games, and just walking in there and thinking the Olympics, this was a dress rehearsal for the Olympics, gave you a bit of a tingle. And then each time I've gone there, we went to see AC/DC in concert there not so long ago. And each time you walk into that venue, the only thing that lets it down there, it's got West Ham sprawled all over it, and which is brought it down a peg or two from the heights that I saw it at. But yeah, it still was a great time, and I don't think you can beat it. So yeah,
I think that's the greatest shame, in the sense that no country ever remains for its purpose. I mean, as soon as they took the top tiers off of the Stratford, it's never been the same. I mean, I've done meetings at Stratford; they're enjoyable, but it hasn't got that buzz that it had when we did the Olympics.
No. The next one's more difficult that Dave threw of us. He wanted to know what the best world record is for athletics, or maybe performance or race.
I think it's the one that you believe the most. I mean, when I watched this, I mean, we now know a lot more about him, but it was the Canadian, Ben, what's his name?
Johnson.
When he won that 100 metres, I just thought that was awesome, the way he performed. And yes, I am going back a few years. And then you find out that he's on drugs and what have you, and you just feel so let down, because if he'd done that naturally, that performance would have stood in my mind forever. And now I've sort of like wiped it clean. But I do enjoy the sprints more than I do like the distance races, because you're sitting there, you're waiting for them to run round, etc. But I must admit, watching Mo Farah in the Olympic Stadium when he did his 5 and his 10,000 was exciting.
Yeah. I mean, you just reminded me of something. Actually, we weren't there, but we were watching it on the telly when Usain Bolt beat Justin Gatlin in the World Championships 100 metres. You remember all the pressure that was on him? It was like,
I know. I can remember actually that you shouldn't do this, but I actually leapt up and went yes, because again, Gatlin has been, for whatever reason, has been proven to be not so honest about life. So I mean, you want people who are not cheating to win. You don't want the cheats to win. So, but it's all driven by money. So at the end of the day, you can understand why it happens.
Yeah. I could chuck in a few memory. I think David Rudisha's 800 metres world record.
Oh God, that was outstanding as well. Yeah, I mean,
we weren't there though, were we?
No. We watched it on the telly, but for someone to take on and run a race front running and just do what he did was outstanding.
Yeah. And going back in time, two of my favourite ever races to watch. One was a world record, and that was Filbert Bayi in the 1500 metres at the 1974 Commonwealth Games. Worth watching on YouTube. Incredible bit of front running. And then the completely opposite tactics, Dave Wattle, 1972, 800 metres final at Munich. Just keep an eye on the guy with the cap, who's completely out of sight, and watch him come through. That is one of the best races ever that I've seen. But live, the old Crystal Palace nights used to be great. Packed stadium, everyone's screaming. It was a world record, actually. It was Steve Ovett set the world 2-mile record at the time, beat Henry Rono. And the place was rocking that night, and that will live in my memory. But yeah, there's some... outside of that, I mean, only when you were talking, I don't know why it sprung to mind, weird, but there was a try by, what was his name? The Welsh scrum half who scored for the Barbarians against the All Blacks about 1973. Gareth Edwards.
I was going to say, it's going to be Gareth something, isn't it?
Watch for Gareth Edwards' try against the All Blacks for the Barbarians from I think about 1973. Some YouTube research there by people. Right, we're going to get now finally finishing off. We've got Graham Saker's Room 101. I was a bit concerned about this because if we just opened it up, it could get very messy, because it's all about a bit negative.
It's about personal choice, and you know, people are going to disagree with your personal choices because they've got different choices. So you have to accept that this is going to be a personal choice of the person that you're asking. I think if you accept that, even if you disagree, then you can go forward.
Yeah, covering your ass there a bit, yeah. So
No, I'm trying to explain as opposed to sort of like just go with the wind for once.
Yeah. Well, when I mentioned it, first thing you said was the media, which we don't need to go into now, but I think we get it. I also think sometimes, from my point of view, political correctness has gone far too far. You can hardly say anything without somebody jumping down. You see, I'm going to say jumping down your throat, and that's going to be somebody to complain about that. But there you go.
I think it's the feminists among them that don't particularly like the toilet humour, and that's some degree, I suppose you've got to consider what other people are feeling.
Yeah, but we won't go into all of that. I'm going to start with fears. If you had a room 101 and you wanted to throw one of your fears into it, what would you go for?
Snakes. Really? I do not like snakes.
Right.
If I saw a snake, I have to go the other way.
Yeah.
And I've met snakes when I've been walking Oscar. So in the grass, they haven't attacked me or anything, but I do not like snakes.
I can remember being on a run once up in Tunbridge Wells, and suddenly, you know, you're running along, and suddenly this snake moved from under me. Flipping heck, I didn't half jump up over it. I had to jump over it. Just caught a glimpse of it. Flipping heck, got your adrenaline pumping. But what do you reckon my biggest fear to chuck out might be?
Oh, you hate heights, I know
that. Yeah,
you
got it. Spot on. Yeah. You got it. Heights. Right. We're going to go to animals now.
Animals.
Oh, you probably said it actually with snakes, haven't you?
Well, there are other animals that I particularly wouldn't want to meet, and like I wouldn't like to meet like a wild dog or anything like that. I suppose you know, I don't like. I have not fear of dogs, but I make myself go up to them. But sort of like big dogs, I used to think, God, I'm not sure about them. But I think it's how a dog behaves, etc. It's not the dog, it's the owner. So I wouldn't put them in the 101 bin. But I mean, there are animals like badgers, for instance. Never approach a badger, so I'd stick him in instead.
Any idea what I'd pick?
Animals? Oh, God. No, not really. Go on, you tell me. Cats? You don't like cats?
Wasps.
That's not an animal, that's an insect.
Oh, God, technicality. Right. TV programs.
TV programs. That's a more difficult one, isn't it? One that you really, really hate. Football matches constantly on the telly. Stick them, get rid of them. Thousands of people watch these matches live, and then they've got to go home and put the telly on and re-watch it again. What are they like? I don't understand it. Sorry.
Yeah, viewers, don't take that as a slight on me, because I must admit I don't watch huge amounts of football, despite what Dawn might intimate. But guess what mine was?
Probably something like gymnastics. I don't know. Go on.
Is it Movies 24 channel that you watch? What's it called? Where there was American romance stuff.
Yeah.
I can't even walk in the room when that song, can I?
No, but then you see, you don't have any compassion to other people's points of views. You see, if you said to me, I want to watch a football match, what do? You watch the football match. I don't go into the next room and watch another film or anything like that. I just do something else on my iPad while you watch the football match.
Oh, that's very, very, very good of you. Drink.
But hold on a sec. What I'm saying is you haven't got any compassion for anyone else's point of view.
No, I've already. I'm just saying what I don't like. That's why I don't come.
Well, it's fine. I don't like football, but I watch it. Because you watch it. So you've got to come somewhere along the line, haven't you?
I know why you don't watch it, because when Manchester United were losing that Champions League final against Bayern Munich back in the day, they were 1-0 down with about a minute to go, and you're going, "Oh, it's all over, and off you go, bang, two goals, and you'd miss the whole lot." Anyway, drink. We've got to move on. Drink. What drink don't you like? Would you like to chuck out?
Well, I don't drink alcohol any longer, so anything to do with that would go into the 101, go in the bin. So it'd be alcohol.
Okay. Well, mine's whiskey. Going back to when I was about 18, 19, had a horrendous experience with it, and just a whiff of it, it just gets to me. Anyway, I'm
wondering what horrendous experience you had. That could be the next topic. Horrendous experience. Go on.
Yeah. Well, no, it was only feeling ill. It wasn't. I didn't do anything stupid. I just feeling ill. Sport. Yeah.
One that you really, really hate. I don't know. I'm pretty tolerant of most sports. I mean, I can't think of anything that I definitely. I mean, no, I probably haven't got a sport that I really hate. I'm surprised that you have.
Well, I mean, I won't go into athletic events because that's pretty obvious which one it would be. But the one I picked is cage fighting. What's it called? I can't even think. What did Conor McGregor and that lot do? You something? Ultimate Fight? I don't get that, and I don't get the hype and the money involved in it. But that's just me. It just weird. And I'll tell you what. When I put this down, the one thing that surprised me, because normally you think of something like dressage or something like that, with horses. But I can remember watching the Olympic dressage and being fascinated by the standard. I wouldn't go and watch it anywhere other time, but the skill involved was incredible. But yeah, cage fighting, bit different there. Dressage and cage fighting, bit of a dressage.
Well, you've had time to think of it, but I must admit, I'm not really a fan of boxing, but I wouldn't put it into 101 in the bin, because at the end of the day, some people love it. I must admit, I don't like people bashing the hell out of each other. So I mean, I don't enjoy that. So I wouldn't go to a wrestling or a boxing match. No. I wouldn't be in the crowd. I know that much, but I wouldn't put it into 101. It's sort of like things that you want to put in the bin, then not happen again. So
exactly.
I'm not sure, but I'm surprised. I'm surprised that you found a sport that you don't actually
like. Food.
Well, what would you put in 101 that you don't like?
No, you're not guessing me yet. You'll never get mine anyway. You go.
Well, no, I would say chocolate cake, because I do not like chocolate cake. Now, loads of people love chocolate cake, but I am not a fan. I eat brownies, but they're different textures to chocolate cake. So chocolate cake would have to go in the 101 if I was getting rid of anything.
Mm.
Go on, you just tell people what you don't like or put in 101.
Swede. We used to get piles of it at school. School dinners used to have swede. Used to pile loads of swede in. I don't know how regularly, but nobody liked it. I don't know why.
They have a bit of parsnip as well, because you don't like parsnips either.
But swede particularly. And then, not that I chuck it in room 101, but we seem to get gypsy tart a lot at school. Remember that?
Well, you know why? It's because it's cheap, and the majority of bakers actually make gypsy tarts every day. So it was an easy, quick, it was easy.
Yeah, but definitely swede. We always used to pile it on, and then we'd leave the pile on the side of the plate. Completely crazy. Cars.
Which car would I hate? Oh gosh. Reliant Robins.
Did you have a bad experience with a boyfriend having a Reliant Robin?
No. I just think that, they're just hopeless. They're smoke, but, flying out the back. They're unstable. That's why you don't see anyone anymore, Who would want 3 wheels rather than 4? That's all.
Did you know anybody who had one?
No, I didn't really. Not no.
I did really, but anyway, I'm picking, and this is one for Paweł Bukowski, who's from Poland. FSO Polski Fiat, and the company I used to work with imported and sold them, and they were horrendous. They were so bad, even our sales guy, regional sales manager on the road, had to have two, because one was off the road, having broken down half the time, so he had to have two company cars to keep him at work. I mean, it was that bad. And yeah, so
but we are going back a few years with both of these models, so I don't believe that I haven't seen a Robin on the road recently. Have you seen one of your batch?
So no, I don't think it exists.
Mainly because they keep breaking down. They must have gone by now.
Yeah, I'd love to know if there's any out there. Anyway, the other thing associated with cars, I'm not keen on personalised number plates myself, but there you go.
What do you call them? Flash kits or something?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's something about it. School memory that you chuck into room 101.
Oh, I went back to my primary school when I was about 25. And my memories of my primary school was that it was massive and there was loads of room, and I was just shocked how small it was.
What? And you'd like to chuck that memory into room 101?
Yeah, that memory can go back in there, because I mean, when I was in my 20s, that ruined everything. I should never have gone back. Go on then with yours.
Oh, I had a French oral exam, which was ever so embarrassing. It was the one O level or whatever that I failed, and it was embarrassing. I was on completely the wrong track. I was talking about something completely different from the examiner, and I was glad.
You frequently are, though.
I was glad to get out of there, I can tell you, and I failed. Human trait.
Oh, God. I suppose it's, a barefaced lie, and you can look them in the eye and you know damn well they're lying to you. That is something I can't put on.
Yeah, very good. I had negativity. It's people that lob negatives in all the time and see the bad side of things. I think, especially at this particular point in time. And finally, anything of your choice that sprang to mind? I mean, you mentioned the media, but anything else that you would like to chuck into?
I would like to see burn phones absolutely abolished, and then nobody can be, tricked into believing someone is someone they're not.
What's this? What was that?
Burn phones. Phones that literally you can buy a burn phone and it's got, that's if you're scammed, most people use burn phones.
Burn, B-U-R-N.
Yeah, have you never heard of them?
No.
Well, they're like, I can't really explain. You look it up. You do some research.
Right. Okay, you'll have to tell us all about that tomorrow then. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, Dawn. I think that might be quite enough and quite.
Well, hold on a minute. We haven't had your personal choice to stick in 101. Just because you don't understand what I want to stick in there, you go on.
This is why it wouldn't work that you asking the questions. Untied. No, I don't know. What else do I do in 101?
So it's all right to ask somebody else a question, but you have no idea about what you would like to do. So I think you need to think about your questions a little bit more carefully.
Political spin on the telly at the moment, or any time.
I'll tell you something also I don't understand. Why do people talk to the media but not talk to the person who can resolve the issues? And I find that very strange, because, and there's another thing I'd like to stick in 101. You said personal choice. I'd like to put the opposition in there as well, because they're sitting on their asses criticising. Why don't they do something to resolve a problem? I'm going. Goodbye.
Now I've got to go and edit this now. Oh, I'm not really. See you all tomorrow, hopefully. Cheerio. Hope you have a good day.